This video is moving to LA from across the country. How to. Here we go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's Zach. I'm a licensed realtor here in the city of Los Angeles. This channel is Living LA. We're all about living, working, and playing in Los Angeles. So if you're moving to the city or you're thinking about moving to the city and you need help deciding where to live, please reach out to me and my team. We'd be happy to help you. My information is on the screen below. Enjoy this video. It's all about moving across the country to LA and how you should do it. If you're planning to move across the country, there's definitely some things that you're going to want to think about. For example, the route you'll take, how long it will take you to get across the country, how much gas you'll need, how you'll transport your things, where you'll sleep, and how much food you'll need. These are all really important if you're planning to move across the country because you don't want to go without thinking about these things and then get going on your trip and realize you missed something. So the first thing that I want you to think about is which route you'll take to get across the country. Depending on where you're coming from, that will determine which freeway you'll take to get across the whole country. Now, if you're coming from the southeast of the United States, you're going to want to take the 10, the 20, or the 30, as all three of these will split into the 10 and the 40s, which the 10 will take you through the bottom of the country, the very, very bottom of it, kind of towards Houston, and the 40 will take you through the low middle of the country. So at the very top of Texas, that'll be kind of your crossing point there. The 10 will take you all the way through to Los Angeles. If you're coming from the northeast, but under the state of New York, you're going to want to take the 70, which will take you across the middle of the country and feed you into the 10 to get to Los Angeles. Now, if you're coming from New York or a state that's higher than New York, you're going to want to use the 80 or the 90. The 80 will take you through the top middle of the country, and that will get you to San Francisco, and then you can use the 101 or the 126, preferably the 101, to get all the way down to LA. If you take the 90, that will take you across the very top of the country towards Seattle. And then again, you can jump on the 5 to come down, or the 101, or the 5 to the 101 to come down to LA. Gas prices are the second thing that I want you to think about. Now, generally, except for the Northeast, the Northeast is an outlier. The further west that you move, the more expensive gas becomes. So while gas prices are generally cheap in the southeast and in the middle of the country, essentially once you move past Texas's western border, gas prices take a drastic jump. They jump anywhere from like $2 to maybe like $4. When I was driving across the country from Charlotte to LA, I literally got to about Texas and gas prices went insane. They went from like $2.67 a gallon to I think it was like $4.80 a gallon. Was like the next state in New Mexico across the Texas border. It was like crazy because gas prices go through such a huge jump in such a short amount of time in the United States. So just something for you to be aware of as you're planning your trip. Expect gas prices to rise the further west that you go. All right, so in terms of travel time, the United States is about 2,700 miles across. And if you go about 65 miles an hour, 2,700 miles, it would take you, if you just drove non-stop, no sleep, no food, no nothing. If you just drove, it would take you about 41 and a half hours to drive the entire length of the United States from one area to the next. Now, if you're coming from the northeast, remember, you've got to go from east to west and then north to south to get down to LA. So just keep in mind that the travel time will extend depending on where you're coming from. Essentially, I would plan for at least a 3-day trip, and you can make it a really fun trip. There's lots to see across the whole US. Make it like a week-long trip. That's what I did with my dad, and it was really fun. We stopped and played golf in Utah in Zion Park. Really, really memorable. So I definitely suggest if you're moving across the US to LA, making it a trip. All right, so the next thing to think about is how you're gonna get your things across the country with you. Do you haul them? Well, that's what I did. So I drive a Mazda 3, 2022 Mazda 3, and I slapped a hitch onto the bottom of it and then hitched a U-Haul trailer all the way across the country. Now I went through the middle this time, but I went over the Rockies with this big U-Haul trailer. Not that it can't be done that way, it definitely can be done, it was successful. I wasn't moving all that much stuff though, So if you're moving a larger amount of stuff, it might be more beneficial for you to get like a U-Haul truck or trailer or van or something like that. And also it depends on what kind of car that you have. If you have a truck that already has a hitch installed, that might be great for you to just tow a trailer. But if you have to install a hitch like I did, it was about a $575 install fee for the hitch and the labor to install it. So things to keep in mind, how you're going to move your things is really important. Now you could also use a moving company like AQMS, which is a contact that I have that does moving and storage all across the nation. It's just, if you're going that route, keep in mind that it might be pricey, so you might have to really decide which things you want to keep and which things you want to get rid of. But these are all sorts of options that you can use to get your stuff across the US with you. Okay, finally, in terms of food and sleep, there's lots of drive-through food all the way across the country. I've driven across the country, multiple different routes, and I promise you there's plenty of Starbucks, lots of Wendy's, lots of Denny's, and in the middle of the country and like the Northeast and the South, interestingly, there's plenty of Cracker Barrels. So there's lots of food out there, and you're not going to starve on your way across. In terms of sleep, you're more likely to find motels in the middle of the country, right off the freeways. And then as you get closer to the seaside cities on the east and west coast, you'll find more of the luxury hotels. So just things to keep in mind as you're traveling across the US and you're thinking about where you're going to eat and where you're going to sleep. Thanks so much for sticking around today. If you like our videos, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Can't wait to see you next time. And again, if you ever need help moving to Los Angeles or finding a new place in LA, please reach out to me. My information is on the screen and I would love to help you. See you later. Have a good one.